for fronts and inwards. So when we talk about gaining rotation, developing rotation, initiating rotation, there are 7 different forms of rotation, okay? And there's a few different ones for fronts and inwards that we want to utilize the most. Can we remember any of those? Nothing? You usually have at least one of these in your head. You go to camp. Brain dead. First letter of the alphabet. Action reaction is one of those. Where do we get that action reaction? Stand up. Show me front and inward action reaction. You don't need your arms. I'm just looking for your feet. Front and inward action reaction. See that? Which direction should your feet go on fronts and inwards? Up and back. Okay, so divers always push down and forwards on fronts and inwards because the first direction divers always go is up, and the opposite of up is down. Equal and opposite with action reaction. Now, all of our rotation is only generated, hey, while our feet are in contact with the board. So as soon as your feet come off the contact with the board, what's the only thing you can do to speed up when you get off the board?
Pull in.
Pull in, get small. Because the radius of gyration is inversely proportionate to your speed. Your radius of gyration is the radius of your spin. Okay, do you know what the radius of a circle is? It's halfway across the circle. Got that? So if you're in a ball, the smaller your ball, the smaller the radius, right? If you get a big circle, you have a bigger radius. So when you leave the board, the only thing you can do to speed up is get smaller. So what's the only thing you can do to slow down? Get bigger, come out, get longer. That's how we slow down, all right? So it's very important that what we're doing while our feet are in contact with the board is being done correctly. So while we're pushing through the board down and forwards, we're getting our action reaction. What's one of the other forms? Yes, transfer of angular momentum. Where do we use that? Where do we get that from? 20% of our height comes from these. On the inflatable arm cut. Woo! Your arms. Stand up. Stand up. Oh, I just doing 16. This is okay. Now, a lot of divers come up the board and they throw with what we call T-Rex arms. Okay? So the longer our arms are levers, and we always have to use them for rotation, okay? Or for air saves and that. So we want to throw with a long, straight arm on fronts and inwards. We want as big of an arc as possible. And that should continue all the way through. Look how far I just threw. On a front double, front 2.5, you're catching your tuck on the back side of the somersault. A lot of divers come off the board and they pull their feet up and grab their tuck because they know they need to get small. Okay? But if you get small in the wrong direction, you don't gain magnitude in direction. And we need both of those. Okay? We need that rotation going. So the head has to be leveled. We want to throw a big, straight, long arm circle, 360 degrees. If you're doing a 4.5, you don't grab that tuck until you're already past one somersault. Kind of crazy. Okay? So we got action reaction from the feet. We got transfer of angular momentum with those arms, just like a pitcher winding up to throw, or a softball pitcher winding up to throw. What's another main one? What's the strongest form of rotation? It's literally rocket science. Literally rocket science. E equals MC squared is the first letter of that. E. Eccentric thrust. So think about your lower body being the rocket ship and everything. You have to, this is the thing that holds the rocket up and then it gets out of the way and the rocket takes off. You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen a rocket? Holds it up and then that where everybody walks off across the bridge into it and everything that moves away and then shoots. Kind of like the upper body has to get up and out of the way, and then the propulsion. Where's the propulsion come from? We don't have fuel in our legs. Where's the propulsion come from? The board. It is a springboard. It's catapulting us. So if you get your legs in a straight line and you get your body in what we call 90-90 position right here, 90 at the armpits, 90 at the hips, the board will do the rest. All you have to do is scoop through and gather up those legs on the back side. Okay? It's about getting to the right position at the right time. So, foot push, action, reaction. Transfer of angular momentum. directional straight arm throw. Eccentric thrust getting to position when the board is coming back into 90-90. And complementary is another one that I put on there, and that's chasing 360. Push, throw, chase, push, throw, chase. That is the order that we have on taking off on fronts and inwards. So we have certain muscular chains that we do. Push, throw, chase. That is our actions, all right? So let's talk about the balance points. Come on up here. Let's do fronts. Show me magic position on fronts. Good. On fronts, because of the angle of the board, we want to have whole foot balance. Very important, that whole foot. You are a lot of times up on your toes, like that, leaning slightly forward, so that you can't go up. You can only go out. We want that whole foot balance. Those knees should be in front of the toes, and we want more vertical chest. Because of this downward angle of the board, we can actually have a vertical chest. We can actually get the hands behind the head. Because straighten your elbows. Straighten your elbows. Boom. She just got about 30 to 60 degrees of throw right there before anything just moved. Bend the elbows again. Good. Head should be nice and level. From this position, we go push, throw, chase. Can you show me medicine ball throw? Okay, go back into magic position. Now, if you stand all the way up and your legs are straight, and then you try to throw, that throw will counterbalance, and your feet will actually come up in front of you, and you'll slow down. So, the one last thing that I want to get to everybody, I emphasize this week, your hands have to get below your center of gravity before the feet come off. And remember, our center of gravity moves outside our body when we bend over. Right here. This is important stuff so you understand it. Because if you understand these physics, you can make it happen up there. Safely, too. Alright? So, that center of gravity will move just outside the body, and now we have a tangent line from that force that's coming up out of the board to the outside of our rotating bodies. We want to become that curveball. And those hands have to get below before the feet come off. If you stood up and then wanted to throw, that will not work. That will counterbalance. Because whatever happens above the center of gravity is reflected below when you're floating in space. So you have to create, yes, you have to start the creation on the board. Let's turn around and look at the inward one. Very similar, but just a little different. Now, of course, we're on the downward slope now. Those heels, we need to model, keeping them up on a dictionary all the way through the model. On the inwards, we're going to be shoulders over front pockets. We think about this more, shoulders, knees, and toes. But when we look at our knees, they need to be 3 to 5 inches out in front of our toes. If they're not, you will not own inwards. Head has to be level, and on these, inwards, we cannot put the hands behind the head because they go behind vertical, and then we're going to have to bump back before we get up. We can't get out of the way of the rocket. So, can you show me medicine ball throw? Elbows are still 12 o'clock, forearms on top, they do not go behind. Shoulders, knees, and toes, 3-point alignment. Show me medicine ball throw. Good, that was a little earlier than the front. That's nice, good job. Yay, thank you for joining us for Fronts and Inwards here at MRDC. May you dive smarter, dive harder, get better every day. Thank you to Aubrey and V8 for your participation.